Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Why, hello there. It be December 21. Oh, God. It's the winter solstice. Did you know that? And do you know what that is? It's the shortest day of the year. There is less sunlight today than any other day. We're not going to get much more than 8.5 hours of sunlight. Just saying. Make your plans accordingly. And the winter solstice, I mean, the sun is so low in the sky during the day. It's really weird. You can tell the earth is tipped. We are receiving less sun than we normally do. The good news is starting tomorrow, the days start getting longer. Indeed. Yep. So starting tomorrow, we start crawling back into it. So I love it. And here's one other fact that I found out today about today. At noon today, and because it's a sunny day, you can do this. At noon today, go outside and check out your shadow. It will be the longest shadow you will cast all year. Isn't that neat? That's the longest shadow at noon. Not right now. That's not the longest. Of course, you could stand there until noon and watch your shadow grow, I guess. But there it is. There it is. I always sort of liked my shadow in certain places because it made me look so tall and thin, you know? So you're like, wow, look at my shadow. Aren't I I look like a supermodel. Guys, I have one small admission to make here. Something's come up. Sort of resembled my lunch. And we're going to call this show the last show of the year. Okay? Tomorrow I will not be here. I am not feeling well. Something's come up. Oh. So let's just oh my God. Did you see, and I hope I don't even talk about him much today. Did you see Trump yesterday at a cabinet meeting? Sitting there like a self-satisfied, unsmiling dictator. He sat in the meeting like this. I will do an impression of Donald Trump. Arms crossed, his little asshole mouth pursed, and he sat there as directly across from him, his vice president, who he called a yokel and other nasty things, heaped sycophantic praise upon him that was just really short of, well, if you want your lunch to come up, you'll check it out on the internet. I would not. It was like, and Mr. President, the country has never been more wondrous. The people love you. We all love you. My hemorrhoids don't even itch anymore. My God, Mr. President, you are God's gift to us all. It was unbelievable. And through the whole thing, Trump sat there. Ugh. We are in like such a bad movie. We're in a bad movie here. And it's going to get worse. So, let's go to the obits. I look at all the people I'm about to share their lives somewhat with you as lucky. They don't have to go into 2018 and see what awaits us. I can't even begin to imagine. What we should do is put down our predictions for what horrors we will witness in 2018. I'm serious. Because I will go out on a limb here and say we will be in another war. I'm not sure with whom. North Korea, that one is really scary. And that's probably the most probable. Because if there's a war in North Korea, that would be perhaps nuclear. Can you imagine? Anyway. Or maybe Iran. Or maybe Yemen. Or where else might we? Venezuela. I thought we did some saber rattling that direction. It's beyond belief. But he wants a war. And he wants a war. So, here are 3 people who don't have to worry about a nuclear war with North Korea. Johnny Fox, ladies and gentlemen. He escaped. He's gone. 64 years old. He was apparently the greatest sword swallower in the world. And he says it's easy. You know what? He says all you have to do is relax. Well, sure, that's the problem. Most people, when they're sticking a 12-foot sword down their gullet, would have difficulty relaxing. But that is what you have to do. You have to relax your throat muscles, and in fact, relax them so much that they even dilate. You have to relax your pharynx, if you know what that is. It's your voice box, right? Yeah? And you have to relax your epiglottis. How do you relax your epiglottis? I have no control over my epiglottis. Do you? I could send it little messages, please relax, epiglottis. But I have I can relax my hand. I can relax my mouth. But my epiglottis? But he says that's all it is. It's just about the ability to relax your throat, your pharynx, your epiglottis, and what stops people from being able to do that, he says, is just fear. Well, yeah. Anyway, no, he did not die while attempting to swallow something. But you might remember him from, there was a Maalox commercial. Maalox commercial where he says something like, "Are you like me?" And then he smashes a light bulb with a hammer and starts eating the glass shards. Do you occasionally crunch, 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 eat things that don't agree with you? Swallow. And that was a Maalox ad. Well, that was Johnny Fox now. Not having to worry about Donald Trump anymore. He also, this is cool, he had a little museum that he created himself that was in New York. It's been closed because he couldn't keep it going. But it was called the Freakatorium. It was Freakatorium El Museo Loco. What's Maalox? Oh, how cute. I could eat you up. My producer here, Stephen Caruso, doesn't know from Maalox. Hey. It's spelled Maalox. And it's an antacid in liquid form. It's disgusting. It's like, I think, drinking chalk. But if you have an upset stomach, it's like, I could use some Maalox right now if you want to know the truth. God bless him. He's still got a kid's stomach. My God. All right. So he did a Maalox commercial after, eating glass. Who did I talk to that ate glass? I think Pittsburgh's own Fat Man D. I think Fat Man D can eat glass, and I think she's been known to swallow a sword or two. And her husband, Tommy Amoeba, is known to hammer nails through his face. Yeah? I can't watch that kind of shit. I cannot watch that. I don't know. Anyway, so this guy had a freakatorium. The El Museo Loco was down on the Lower East Side. Where else would it be? And it had a glass eye in it that supposedly belonged to Sammy Davis Jr. It had one of Tom Thumb's, the little small person guy in Barnum and Bailey Circus. It had one of Tom Thumb's outfits. And it had a mummified cat. That's what it had. Anyway, Johnny Fox dead. He was a showman. What he would do at the end of his shows, he'd finally get somebody from the audience and he'd have him come up and extract the sword from that he'd swallowed. And after the person, oh God, I can't imagine, pulled the sword out of him, he would return their wallet or their watch, which he'd pickpocketed while they were doing it. You gotta love him. Johnny Fox, ladies and gentlemen. The one big obit today I'm not even doing. That's Cardinal Law. May he rest in hell. And the Pope is going to be at his funeral and do a last, hocus pocus over him or something. And a lot of people are not happy. He could have avoided that. He didn't have to do that. Must not have seen the movie. Spotlight. Okay, also not with us anymore. Not going to see the horrors unfolding in 2018 in the US of A, which, by the way, for the second year in a row, the life expectancy in the United States of America has gone down. That's almost unheard of, especially in supposedly the world's richest nation. The big guys. 2 years in a row now. American life expectancy has gone down, while all over the world, life expectancy is rising. Yeah, America, we're doing real good. We are. God bless her, Mamie Johnson's not going to have to live with us any longer. She did. She's 82. This is weird. Did you know that the Negro Leagues at one point had some women playing on the teams? I didn't either. Well, of course, the way this works is women came in as black men found themselves finally able to get into Major League Baseball. So after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, the Negro League didn't go down right away. It hung on there into the 50s. And to supplement some of the guys that were going to the majors, they took some women. Mamie Johnson was one of them. 5'3", 120 pounds, and unbelievable pitcher. Apparently, she played with the Clowns, which Hank Aaron also played for the Clowns. The Clowns were so named because they not only did, they were headquartered in Indianapolis. They not only played great baseball, but they did little, sort of minstrel acts, I suppose, in between. I don't know. Wow. Anyway, Mamie was a right-hander. She could throw a fastball, sliders, circle change, screwball, curveball. You know who gave her pointers? Helped her along? Satchel Paige. Oh, yeah. So she knew her stuff. I mean, she was good, and she retired after 3 years with a record of 33-8. Hell of a pitcher, Mamie Johnson, now dead at the age of 82. And I got one more. A lot of people trying to die before 2018 comes around. I don't blame them. I might be one of them. I'm serious. Clifford Irving. That name ring a bell? That name should ring a bell. Not necessarily the young stuff over here, but Clifford Irving. He was the perpetrator of one of the greatest literary hoaxes in the 20th century. We all got taken in. Clifford Irving, ladies and gentlemen, he's now dead. He was 87. Here's what he did. He went to, I think McGraw-Hill was what it was, yeah. And he said, hey, you won't believe this, but I have befriended Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, of course, the famous lunatic, gazillionaire, inventor, airplane pioneer, Hollywood mogul, and unbelievable eccentric. Let's put it mildly. He was mentally ill. Howard Hughes was, at the time, a total recluse, had never spoken to anybody for publication for decades. This was in the 70s, in the early 70s. And Clifford Irving says he contacted me. He saw my work. He said, I want to tell you my life story. You can write it. So the book was the autobiography of Howard Hughes. Well, McGraw-Hill went nuts. They said, yeah, we'll take it. Life magazine bought the rights to serialize it. Another publisher paid him a ton. I mean, this guy made millions before a word was written. And in order to do this, he had to go to a lot of trouble, because you don't just walk into McGraw-Hill and say, hey, Howard Hughes telling me his life story. You gotta have some proof. So he forged all kinds of letters from Hughes to him. He began calling his editor and publisher from exotic places all over the world, where he said he was meeting with Hughes, who had long ago decamped from Las Vegas and instead had taken up residency somewhere in the Bahamas, probably on his own little island. And a lot of people, understandably, were skeptical. And in fact, Mike Wallace, intrepid gotcha reporter, father of Chris Wallace, for those who are younger, Mike Wallace of 60 Minutes fame, did a searing interview with Clifford Irving on 60 Minutes, from which Mike Wallace left believing him. So Clifford Irving, quite clearly, a master liar. He made his way through lawyers who took him on, through a lot of journalists who tried to out him. He made it past handwriting experts. But toward the end of 71, it starts to unravel. Just about ready to publish, apparently. And something that Clifford Irving had banked on not happening happened. He banked on Hughes being so much a recluse and a nutcase that he would not emerge in any way to slap this down, that he would just let it go. And that didn't happen. As the publicity started ramping up and up and up, this was such a huge story. Howard Hughes had a spokesperson come out and say that this was all a lie, that he had never met with Irving. But still, that didn't quite do it. And so Howard Hughes actually did something that hadn't done in years. He did a conference call with 7 different journalists in which he debunked it personally. Well, Clifford Irving went to jail, ladies and gentlemen, charged with and pleaded guilty to conspiracy and to larceny, although he later said, I didn't think I was committing a crime. I thought it was just a hoax. But of course, it is a crime, I guess, when you get money from people for a product that you're not going to deliver, right? That you can't deliver. I don't know. Anyway, he went to jail. Not for long. Clifford Irving's story was later made into a movie where Richard Gere played him, called The Hoax. And the only other thing I have to tell you about this despicable character is he was married 6 times. I don't understand that. If somebody, can't do a long-term relationship, fine. But you don't have to marry every time you're in a relationship. Why would you keep doing that? I've never understood it. It needlessly complicates things. I mean, I just don't get it. All right. That's it for me. Chuck writes, man, that cabinet meeting you mentioned reminds me of the fake, over-enthusiastic clapping we see in the North Korean footage of Kim Jong-un. Hit it on the nose. That's where we're heading. Who did I hear the other day? Gary Kasparov, the former chess world master, Russian, Putin hater, and outspoken critic, showing quite a bit of courage, I think, on his part. I heard him in an interview say, trying to wake Americans up, saying, hey, guys, it doesn't really matter when Trump takes on individuals and the tweets and that kind of stuff where he's targeting people. That's not so dangerous. It's unseemly. It's unpresidential. But it ain't dangerous. What's dangerous that he's doing is the undermining, the attempt to undermine the institutions of the country. He said that is classic out of the playbook for dictators. The way they begin to consolidate power is, first of all, to destroy the citizens' trust in the integrity of the institutions of the government, so that the only thing left to trust is dear leader. And I think I was talking about this yesterday, that is, when I look at that, the going after the media, the FBI, what hasn't he gone after? Even the goddamn NFL. An attempt to take from us any sense that what we have is functional. And by so doing, making it less so. And because he's so aided and abetted by the Republicans now, they are dismantling the foundational institutions of this government, of this country. They now comprise the government. And, everybody's trying to say, so where did the Republicans go so wrong? I'm sorry. I say it was Reagan, who would be appalled at today's Republicans. But Reagan, who I think was it in his inaugural speech, his first inaugural speech, where he said, he said it on the campaign trail too, that government is not the solution, never is the solution. Government is the problem. And so that, from there on, the Republicans just went to town demonizing the very government of the nation, which is, last time I looked at the foundational documents and stuff, was supposedly government by the people. So, in a way, you're trashing the citizens when you do that. I don't know. But no, Chuck, you're so right. It does. It looks like the sycophantic, frightened people clustering around Kim Jong-un. Right. And knowing full well that he might turn on them any minute, right? Because these guys, Kim Jong-un, Donald Trump, who demand total obeisance, or is it obeisance, and loyalty from those around them, have no problem whatsoever betraying anybody. They betray constantly and demand loyalty in return. Chuck writes, in both cases, it's clearly staged, and you get the impression that there are harsh repercussions for anyone who does not show passionate approval of the leader. Well, I was looking at it because you can't see Pence. The picture is taken from behind Pence, who's droning on. And what you see is that, Trump with his arms crossed and his pursed little mouth. And on either side of him are Secretary of Defense Mattis and Secretary of State Tillerson. And frankly, both of them look, well, I just can't imagine what's going on in their heads. Sort of like when I'm at a board meeting and they get into the financial report, and they're throwing numbers around and this is and that's, and this is important stuff if you're on a board because you have fiduciary responsibility. I don't understand this stuff very much. So while listening and with things pretty much going in one ear and out the other, I adopt a facial expression that says that I studied acting, that says, I find this very interesting and I'm listening with, sober understanding and great reflection. So I just put that face on, and meanwhile in my head, other things are happening. And I was looking at Mattis and looking at Tillerson. I thought the same thing. Man, they're interior conversation right now. Well, frankly, I don't care. Whatever it was. So I saw something about this the other day. I thought, this can't be happening. This can't be true. But of course it's true. The contempt that this so-called populist president has for people, for the little people, is awesome. And it's bottomless. And that contempt is felt and truly held close, I think, by most other Republicans. You can tell that from the way they treat the least of us. And the things they say, which clearly show that they think if you're poor, it's because you're lazy. That's it. That's as far as their understanding of poverty goes. And The Labor Department under Trump. The Department of Labor obviously is supposed to be there to look after the labor force, the workers, and to ensure they are being treated fairly. That's when Democrats are in charge, because they understand the mission of these cabinets and they hew to them. When Republicans are in charge, as I've said a million times, these agencies are turned on their heads. So the Department of Labor now becomes a department headed by people who want to figure out how to screw the worker as much as they possibly can. And so you will not be surprised, I should hope, to know that they have promulgated rules that are going through the pipeline. The comments right now, if you want to say anything about this rule change coming up, you got to get to the Department of Labor website and let them know, because the comments are open. You saw how well that worked with the FCC and the net neutrality change. They are going to have a rule that workers' tips, that a waiter or a waitress's tips are the property of the owner, are controlled by the owner. It's like at Christmas. This is what they're... Do these guys have any understanding whatsoever of how people who wait on tables make their living? And the rule the Department of Labor has going rescinds the rules that have applied for a long, long time that prohibits employers from touching tips. Even though some do, by the way. Those tips are for the wait staff. But they are, and they're saying, the stuff they're saying is unbelievable. Well, the employer gets the tips, and then the employer will be in a position to dole them out in a more equitable fashion. Bullshit. We know what happens. Actually, a lot of wait staff do pool their tips and share them with people behind the scenes in the kitchen who don't get tipped. A lot of places do that. But the owner, the employer, pocketing the tips, pocketing the tip jar, going from tables and taking the tips, that is beyond belief. We saw what they did with their tax reform bill. And this is more of the same. They are absolutely bold about their contempt, I guess, for people who work their tails off for a living, for not a lot. And they just can't come up with enough ways to take their money, the little guys' money, and hand it over to the guys who've got more. You have to have a hole in your soul. You have to be like the Speaker of the House, a devotee of Ayn Rand. Right? Who had, it was quite clear about her contempt for the little people. Quite clear. So if somebody thinks Ayn Rand had it right, they then also agree that working people are parasites. I mean, to me, you have to be absolutely insane to subscribe to that. What does capital get you if labor doesn't come into the picture and produce something? God, there was a day when labor and capital understood that. Didn't last long, but there was. Unbelievable. And speaking of tips, there was a piece in I think the Times today about how this is not something we see around here so much, but people don't carry cash anymore. So there are a lot of situations where people used to drop some of their cash on a table or in a doorman's hands or in the valet guy's hands or in a lot of situations at the, getting your nails done, blah, blah, blah. There are places where, and those people rely on tips, but nobody's carrying cash. The banking industry did a survey and found that half of Americans have cash on them only about half the time. They just put a piece of plastic in their pocket and they're good to go. And that means often you can't tip. So people who rely on tips are already suffering in this new draconian era. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello, Lynn.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, that's why I get tired of these Republicans saying this is a Christian nation. If it was a Christian nation, we wouldn't have the system we have. I mean, where's the fairness of all the way they do things? I mean, there's no fairness. You know what I'm saying? It just...
No. I mean, quite clearly, these guys are just unremittent. They serve the rich because the rich give them money so that they can remain in power. It's an unholy alliance that has enriched them and has caused the country to be, we're in terrible trouble. I mean, when life expectancy drops 2 years in a row, it says something about the country. It's that's not supposed to happen.
You have
poor people are dying in this country.
Over $250,000 and gets like $7,000 back, and then somebody makes $67,000 and gets like $930 back. I mean, how's that? You're already making over $250,000. You don't. The person that needs is a $67,000 person or less, and down at the bottom. But it's not. That whole tax bill set up. It's the opposite. It used to be the more you make, the more they take. It's the more they make, the more they give you. It's unbelievable that whole tax thing is. It is disgusting.
It is. I mean,
I'm so pissed off about it. I mean, I can't see straight. I am so mad, and I got neighbors around me that voted for that damn Trump. It's hard to even say hi to them. It really is. It's getting worse when you start seeing the damage this guy's starting to do. It's starting to come to a head too. It's only going to get worse next year when they start cutting entitlements. But in a way, maybe they should lay all of the cards out on the table, and the American people ought to see. Then come the election, they can really judge them.
Well, you know what else they've done is they've starved the IRS to the point where the IRS can't even do its job anymore. And part of its job, right, was to make sure people were paying their fair share. Well, the IRS does not take on the rich anymore. The rich come with too many lawyers and can tie them up forever. And so they've essentially starved that agency to the point where the rich just keep taking more and more. And if the IRS is going to go after anybody, they too go after the little guy. Yes. To cough up a few more bucks. It's just, and they're starving government in general, which will allow them to further say that the government doesn't work. You see, it ain't working for you, because as they continue to prevent the government workers from being able to do their job. Speaking of government workers, by the way, there is also talk afoot that they are going to seriously go after federal workers' compensation. If you're a federal worker, God help you, you're about to start seeing the axe coming. And there's even an idea floating to get rid of paid holidays in the federal level.
Jeez, man.
You know, you can't make it up.
No.
You can't make it up.
Okay, have a
All
nice
right.
Christmas.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
Bah humbug.
Okay,
bye. Bye. No, you know, Scrooge. Think of Scrooge. And the Republican Party is the embodiment of that meanness and cruelty, of lust for money with no heart and no ability to feel the pain of people with less. That reminds me, my sister said something the other day, which she said empathic. She said, you say empathetic. I know empathic's a word. Is empathetic not a word? Knowing my sister, that was a dig that I let go at the time. Will you check and see if empathetic is a word? It is a word. Yeah? Fine. Yeah, okay. Because I think empathic is probably the more proper word. They're both the same. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Take that, Susan. It stuck with me. Henri writes, Reagan was originally a Democrat, and he was famous for saying, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me. Reagan would not be a Republican if he were alive today, and he would not be happy that today's Republicans use his name as often as they do. You know, they don't use it as much. Have you noticed that? Even they know it ain't his party anymore. What's happened to the Republican Party is really extraordinary. And we've watched it year by year by year, the corruption of it. It's incredible. But we're all going to pay for it. And we're going to pay potentially in ways that we can't at this point even conceive. Mark writes, looks like the UN is meeting to reprimand America for Trump's decision on Jerusalem. And Trump's response is, let them vote against us. We do not care. And Nikki Haley says, we'll be watching and taking names. Oh, no, what Trump has said is if anyone votes against us in this, we ain't going to give them any more money. Well, let me tell you, everybody's going to vote against this, against us in this. Everybody. Including all the people we do give money to for strategic purposes like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all of those Middle Eastern states, African states, all of them. And this is insane. This is creating a problem where the Jerusalem thing needn't have become such a big to-do. It's symbolic, and God, I don't know. And for him to now go to the mat on this, it's just stupid. It's so stupid. Unnecessarily further distancing us from the rest of the world. Insane. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, are these guys about to go home for Christmas before they secure the chip program? I think they are. They made sure that Daddy Warbucks and all the guys who got all that money have more than ever. But they couldn't find time to take care of poor children and continue to have them have access to health care. It's not just reprehensible. It's not just despicable. It's immoral. And I'll tell you, it's times like this where I wish I believed in heaven and hell. Because every single one of them is going straight to hell. If there's a God, if there's a hell. Straight to hell. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Okay. This is Brady. I'm calling from Dubai. You mentioned the issue of Trump and Jerusalem.
Can you make it any louder on your end, Bree?
Yeah, I can try to. Is
Okay,
that better?
Yes, that's definitely better. Thank you. So you're calling from Dubai. Hi.
Yes, that's right. Hi. I'm actually using my Amazon Echo to call you because it's a free call for me through that.
Cool.
Yeah, as long as it works. Anyway, just a quick read. I want to tell you that since that announcement, it hasn't been immediate, but slowly but surely, there is a sea change shift that I have felt. And on the one hand, it's good, and on the other hand, it's bad. On the one hand, it's good because most people now say, well, that's good. The U.S. has definitively staked their claim. They have sided, and now they're no longer involved in the peace process. That's done. That's ended, and maybe they shouldn't have been in it in the first place. So that's sort of the attitude. The attitude is, and in a way that it gets us off the hook in a way because we are now no longer considered impartial. We're now no longer considered the main judge in the game, so to speak.
Right.
So it kind of got us off the hook in a way.
But it removes us from a position of power. I mean, we had forever been seen as the most powerful nation and the only nation capable of listen, I think peace in the Middle East is a fool's errand anyway. I don't know, but no,
Yeah.
I don't think we ever.
But that's how it's being perceived, and
Yeah.
I really don't think Pence should come here. My advice for him would be to stay in the U.S., give it a little while. Somebody in the White House said, "Oh yeah, we understand that they need time to cool down." He'll go, 2 days later, and it's like,
Whoa.
no, 2 days is not the period of cooling down. If you saw that quote, I just laughed at it, and I said, who in the White House would say that? You're going to need like 2 years to calm down, maybe. And even then, I don't think so. It's kind of like a slow burn. And the other thing is there's a lot of talk about the issue that the United Nations should be moved out of the U.S. I'm opposed to that. I like the fact that we have the UN in New York. It's an important part of U.S. Policy. But I have to think that Trump probably would want that real estate for some condos or another Trump Tower. And if they could move the UN, I think he'd be in favor of that.
Oh, I agree.
Anything from the White House, but yeah,
I do.
That's a huge thing. That's really big.
Yeah, that's some great. Yeah, my God, great real estate on the East River there. Sure. In a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, Bree, what are you doing
Well,
over
it's a
there?
slow burn
Bree, what are you doing in Dubai?
I do as much as possible, but mostly, I guess you could call me educational consultant and lecturer.
And lecturer. CIA.
Yeah.
He's CIA.
Lynn, did you talk about the Steelers catch, non-catch already?
Oh yeah. What, from Dubai? You wanna comment?
I heard it in the mall today.
In Dubai, they were talking about it.
Yes. The two ladies were in the accessories department of Marks and Spencer, and one yelled to the other, "Can you believe that BS of a call in the Steelers Pats game?" I nearly tripped over myself.
That's so funny. That is the best.
Yeah.
Oh, how?
It really took me out of the moment.
Yeah.
I thought, my gosh.
That's how outrageous that call was. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, what a treat to hear from you. And I don't know. Merry Christmas. I guess it doesn't. Is there any Christmas tree?
We have huge. Oh, it's much bigger than in Pittsburgh, I would venture to say. The trees and the decorations, far more expansive, extensive, and amazing. I will take some photos for you. You will gasp. They blow New York City away. I've been in New York City. I've never seen the Christmas stuff I see in Dubai. It's unbelievable.
What the hell? It's okay. For them, it's just a secular. What is it?
I'll send some pictures. Okay?
All right. Okay. Jeez.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Bree. Bye. Goodbye. Oh my gosh. You know, that call was as clear. That call was as clear as some of the calls we get, and there wasn't the delay. That was Dubai, and there wasn't a delay. And he says Dubai's done up for Christmas. Hey, in Dubai, you can say Merry Christmas. And they're Muslims. Jesus H. Unbelievable. Brooke writes, I'd like to know who the real puppet master is. Well, I mean, Putin's the major one. I mean, he is. Did you hear Hayden say was it Hayden or Clapper? Somebody yesterday, or a few days ago, said that there is no doubt that Trump is essentially a, what do you call that when you're I'm forgetting the word. You're an asset. I don't think that's the word he used. He's an asset for being used by Russia. That's what he is. He's one of their, he's like a mole. It's unbelievable what has happened here. It really is. Trump has the brain of a turkey, writes Brooke, and isn't smart enough to orchestrate a dictatorship. I'm convinced he is a pawn, as are all GOP members of Congress. It's too easy to say that they are just beholden to their campaign contributors. I'm not a conspiracy type of person, but it just seems like there's some satanic boardroom somewhere pulling the strings. No. Brooke. These are capitalists in cahoots with Russia. You can't make this up. In cahoots with Russia. Lining their pockets, undermining American democracy for their own gain, financial power. I mean, don't belittle Trump's brain. I want to say that. It ain't a brain that's full of information and facts. And his emotional intelligence is zero. His intellectual intelligence is minimal. But whatever kind of intelligence it takes to manipulate and to do what he does, how can you continue to underestimate the guy when he pulled off the most astonishing election victory of all time? One thing Democrats do all the time is underestimate people that they think are stupid or look down upon. Don't underestimate him. He cleaned our clock. These idiots cleaned our clock. They beat us. What does that make us? Geniuses? He has an innate understanding of how to protect himself. And because he is now the president of the United States, his protection of himself could potentially destroy the country. And that he continues to be supported, aided, abetted by a sizable percentage of Republicans. Most. That, I don't know. Don't underestimate him. I don't anymore. Ginny says Republicans view CHIP like it's one of those unnecessary entitlement programs, but during my time between having a job, it was a lifesaver for me and my kids. I didn't have insurance between jobs, but CHIP gave my children insurance. We only needed it for a short while. The attitude of these bastards, the programs that serve to lift people up, our entitlements, is just absurd. No, they think all entitlements should go to them. Because, you see, poor people are undeserving. They believe it somewhere in their hearts. Their hearts? In their stone-cold hearts, they believe it. Bree writes, Lynn, of course, Jesus is recognized as a prophet in the Muslim religion. That is true. So they are fine with it. And Dubai is diverse because it's crawling with capitalists. There are a lot of they got tons of money there. If there's money, there's guys playing. There are a lot of malls, and Dubai loves to do things big, and we have trees that make Rockefeller Center's tree look like a bonsai. Oh, God. God. Yeah, well, they thought Moses was a prophet too, right? Did they have menorahs around it? I doubt that. Oh, guy. Oh, and the latest on Bitcoin, since this was the subject all week. Bitcoin, this just in. North Korea suspected in Bitcoin theft. Yeah, North Korea, short on money, needing money, and with hackers aplenty, have apparently taken down the Bitcoin exchange in South Korea. Says here, the heist from a Bitcoin exchange that looks like North Korea hackers, and the company that was hacked suspended trading and filed for bankruptcy. They took it down. Oh, God. Okay. I think that's it. Is that it? Guys, I'm sorry about thinking out on you tomorrow, but really, I haven't been feeling well, and nobody's around. It's like everybody already's gone. You know, you drive downtown, it's like a ghost town here. Except if you go into a place where people are shopping for stuff. Oh, my God. All right, well, this wouldn't be my Bob and Braddock wants me to end this show in a certain way, which doesn't seem right for the holiday. Bob. So I don't think I'm going to do it. I just can't. I mean, I'll do it, but it won't be the end, okay? Bob writes, let me be the last person to hope that you will end your final show of this year by saying something that I guess I said to start 2017 to my fellow Americans who made this disastrous year possible. He says, you know the rest. He wants me to say, go fuck yourselves. But there, I said it. But I don't know. I really would like to end on a nicer note. I mean, my trepidation for what's coming in the future is real, and it scares me and it weighs me down. But I hope that we all manage to steal some joyous moments in this holiday season. And steel thyself. Because, as I said, 2018, you won't be able to make it up. I mean, 2017 gave us a hint. 2018, I can't even imagine. And I've never felt like this before. So, with some sadness and some fear underlying, I just want to say that I really do hope, on a personal level, that you all have a very good new year, and find joy and purpose in it. And Merry Christmas. And God help us, everyone.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.